In this episode, I sit down with Amanda Thompson. As a person, she's a mother and a wonderful human being. In her professions, she's a former Chiefs cheerleader. Pretty cool stuff. She's got lots of stories to tell from life, work, just being around. Like many of us, just trying to sort out the path and navigate as best as possible. Sure hope you enjoy this episode. It's our first recording, so you know what comes along with that. So, I have no official way to start this or not start this today, other than, hi, Amanda Thompson.
Hello there, Kevin. How's it going?
I should not have been mean to you. Should I have offered you some water or a soda or something? I see you brought your big penny per bill cup.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I have no bathroom breaks. We're on the serious notes now. You know, we're gonna run full throttle, no stops.
Did you take a break before you came in?
Of course. You know, here's the deal. I've been taking a lot of breaks lately. Mentally, not so much, but day by day, lots of energy.
So, for those, I know you, you know you, for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself. Your name would be a good start.
Yes. My name is Amanda Thompson, born and raised here in the Independence Lee Summit area, and I have two amazing children, 14 and 9, that are my world. I'm very, very fortunate to have a wonderful school district and community around me, family surrounding me, and that's always been the biggest part of importance for me, is to make sure they are happy. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that other things are less important, and the focus should always be on just simplicity and happiness, and sometimes you gotta let all those other complexities go.
That seems like a hell of a journey.
Heck yeah.
Thank you. I guess I should have really started there. Welcome,
Yeah.
and thank you to Beyond the Bill. This is my new podcast.
Beyond the Build.
Beyond
I like
the Bill.
it.
Yeah. So when you ask like what are we gonna talk about, it's like, well, we built some shit, but then there's life that has to be lived. So we can talk about this, that, all of it. And so thank you. I'm glad that you mentioned your kids and kind of your life before the what we do in life, because I believe that we are defined so much more by those other impressions than what we do between, to earn income. We'll just leave it at that, to earn income.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And as you know, I've worked in fine industries for the last 2 decades of my life. Fine jewelry, fine dining. And with that, of course, you surround yourself by successful people, and you want to be amongst them, and you believe. And you know what? And that truth comes true, is you surround yourself by people and around people that make you feel like you have that drive to accomplish just as much, if not more, on your own journey.
So like when Grandma says, you are who you surround yourself with?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's true. Ah, damn.
I know.
We should definitely listen to Grandma. All you
Grandma's
grandmas
always
out
right.
there, boy, kudos to you for getting it right.
That's right. And that chicken noodle soup, I wish I could just learn that recipe, but someone in my family, I'm sure, has that.
Right.
Yeah, but I have enjoyed the things that I have done in the past. Working in fine jewelry is what my latest tenor, and the demand of that. Working in retail, it can become repetitive. It is definitely rewarding. But again, there's some things that you're like, I feel like I have more to give and to help people, and I'm kind of figuring out what that means. Every day I would wake up and I say, okay, I can help someone reward themselves or give a gift to a loved one. That made me feel good, knowing that some things like that you look back on. That piece of jewelry or that watch that was given to you by your special loved one or a parent or grandparent, you said, wow, this makes me think of them, right? Yeah. That is the important things. But sometimes you look back in the far back of your drawer, and it's not a watch. It's just a simple card or something that was handwritten in cursive, mind you, by.
Is it dead?
That is
I
long
think it
gone.
might
I don't
be.
know. Is it ever coming back? But you see that love that they put into those notes. It's not just the physical things, which are fun to find, but those things that show just emotion and not just the dollar bill behind it. It's the time spent.
Yeah, it's the things that really we find the value in are not as much the material things that we maybe had our eyes set on. It is a lesson I know that I'm learning these days, and coming out of the fine dining and the fine jewelry, and which, by the way, thank you for being in those spaces, because I got to enjoy that for a hot moment.
Heck yeah.
With some of our adventures. But aside from that, like, there's the things, there's the trinkets, there's the widgets, and then there's the time, and what I feel like some days that the world tells us what we're supposed to be doing. It defines our success. It defines when we should be and where we should be and why we should be. And I don't think it's just a me and you issue. Like, I don't think it's just us that think on this.
Not at all.
And so this is just going to be kind of another voice, another conversation in that how to help get out of your own ways, maybe sometimes. The things that we do to find ourselves in our own ways and how we process and deal with that. And that's a big study for me right now.
Yes.
Just completely.
And we all do have that normal or expectation that we're supposed to withhold. You go to your 9 to 5. In the last decade, of course, we have learned a huge skew on that. People are learning that, I want that free time back. I work all the 9 to 5, or I even 40, 50 plus hours a week, and commends people in the medical world, for God's sakes. They're on call. They work late night hours. I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be the best self, I don't think. Now, I love helping people, but when it comes down to people working remotely and this, that, of course, everyone loves that idea of, I don't have to drive through that commute, traffic, Kansas City, come on, let's get our act together. The construction from Lee Summit to the plaza has been atrocious, which has made me think, I want to stay local. Lee Summit has so much to offer in the surrounding areas, everything I can drive to in the 5-10 minutes. If I need to drive 30 minutes, bingo, I have everything downtown plaza. But again, the cherishing of the things that we work hard for. We pay for our mortgages, we pay for our cars, we pay for everything. But yet, those are the places that we don't get to hang out the most, right? We're pedaling and working all of these hours, coming home exhausted to something we have to clean up, instead of saying, wow, this is my beautiful home. I want to hang out and just cherish it for a little bit longer than the 2 hours before it's bedtime, And I think that's what people have been wanting also. Remote work, I'm sure, can be exhausting, and then we give it a try. I think that's what people have been doing, especially in that last decade, since pandemic and life and many other things and factors. But money has been a tough call, and we're trying to make that dollar bill and happiness make sense on a scale.
Yeah, and there's so many challenges with what the world has ended up as, and I don't want to paint it in a good or a bad, because depending on where you sit, I'm reframing perspective all day, every day, right? Every day. If I'm not looking at something through somebody else's lens or eyes, then that to me is a closed-minded viewpoint, and I'm locked in that. And so I need to shift my gaze. And that's where a lot of these conversations really help me also, and sit-downs and just visiting with great people like you. One of the challenges that has happened that I think very few people realize is the amount of inflation that has occurred since just 2020. But it goes way back. It goes over 100 years back of what started the whole cycle, and that's for a conversation way for another time. But at the end of the day, if we have realistically realized, which I believe that we have, about 40%, 50% inflation since 2019. So in real dollar terms, if you made $100,000 a year in 2019,
that would be the equivalent of making $50,000 to $60,000 a year today, with the way that the cost of everything is. And I think about like my grandparents, right? You think about grandma and grandpa and the cup of coffee, or I remember the candy bar, or that used to be a nickel that was now $1. And so even hearing how they were viewing it as the whole system was getting created, and then to watch it kind of accelerate now is what the feeling is. After COVID, the pandemic, everything accelerated because of a lot of reasons, and that's a lot of way smarter people are discussing that stuff. But the end result is we all feel a little bit more stretched. The general public feels a little bit more stretched, and this isn't necessarily just going to be the place to go and wax on about those challenges, because what I want to do is look at how we can take that and apply it to our lives, and then figure out what our next steps are.
Absolutely.
Because we get to choose our step through all the noise, through all the chaos. And I believe that we can choose to succumb to the negative pressures and the I can'ts and the I won'ts and somebody won't let me. And that's not how I've been wired. And so I'm taking my rewiring and just going, or my wiring, and trying to short circuit that across to everybody else right now. And somebody said I could talk into a microphone and publish it and people would listen or they won't listen. And so, hey, here we are.
That's right. Give it a try. And,
Give it a
you
try.
know, because ultimately it does take talking about it, about everything, right? We all have these little conversations or tiffs on Facebook, which I've, unfriended a few dozen people, in the last few years, just, it's all negativity. But you know what? How can we take that negative energy and come together on, hey, how can we fix that? Or how can we make that problem better for you? Like, you come to me with a problem, let's figure it out. I'm a friend of yours, I'm a family with you, Kevin, and I'm here for anyone. I love to be that person to say, you know what, give me a challenge and I'll try to figure it out, I know that I have my own challenges, everybody has theirs. I'm a single mom, which isn't, especially this day and age, it's not easy, and there's a lot of us out there, let's face it. It's not like it used to be where people got married young, they stayed together, they had a house that had a much smaller mortgage than and the interest rates and all the things, and we still all have to have cars, to get places, and or pay for those conveniences to get places. Thank you, Uber. Thank you, DoorDash. But those things in life, though, we're living in an abundance right now, right? We have lived in a great abundance of things that I look around me in my home and I say, did I really need that extra little something, little trinket, and it may bring me joy for a little bit, but I know that ultimately isn't the end all be all. Yeah. My kids have many, many more trinkets than I do. Let's talk about that on another time.
Yeah, man, hours on that subject.
I'm like, seriously, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and good Lord, she has all the little horses and all the Barbies and all the this. I'm waiting for the day, but of course I'm going to dread the day that I'm not going to see those toys on the floor. But at this point in time, I need to also say, I don't need to be spending that money on those Barbies or my trinkets. I need to be focusing, as we all do, on just the simple, let's go back to the basics. Let's take our kids, instead of getting them 25 birthday, Christmas presents that they're going to throw in the back toy box and they're going to be forever forgotten. It's experience. And that's why I go back to, I want to come home, I want to relax, I want to not feel rushed. I do not want to have my kids feel rushed, because I'm trying to fit into this mold. And that mold I've been trying to break. And I think that we're all kind of in that same predicament, that we're all just kind of wanting to put our hands out and say, somebody help me. And you know what? I may be in need, but I tell you, guarantee that I'd be the one to first say, let me help you first, right?
Yeah. Many times in life we find the people that are willing to go grab that hand that is being held up because they need help. Many times it's the people that also should have a hand that's held up, and I think about this from the mindset of put your oxygen mask on first,
right,
and then help the person next to you, that we learn on flying on planes, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, what does that actually mean? Like, what does that mean if I'm sitting next to you on a flight and like that feels selfish because I'm big and I'm capable and you know, you got bumped around and so if I take a second to make sure that you, because of whatever runs through my mind, you're, you know, woman, childbearing, whatever, like you pick these things in that split second to make a decision based off of, and everybody tells you the decision should be start with yourself.
Certainly.
Start with yourself,
Yes.
because if you aren't taking care of yourself,
Yes.
you cannot help somebody else.
That's correct.
And I think that that's where like this whole money situation and the inflation, and it has really, I think, caught some people by the pickle because it's been like a frog in cold water that the heat's been turned up. I think we've just lived a life, we've acquiesced, we've just settled into this life of abundance and life of luxury. I'm sure some would look at, and other people would look at it in complete judgment and how
Correct.
the squalor that we live in.
Right.
And so again, all those different perspectives, and then to go, yeah, okay, I'm a frog in water. What's that temperature? Now can I feel it? Can I feel it? And what do I do about it? Like, and that's what I'm trying to also wrap my head around is what do you do about that situation? Well, sell your shit. I mean, that's one option. Stop buying shit. I mean, that could be another option. There's 1,000 different things, and we all have such a hard time doing that because I know I let a lot of the other voices in, and that's me helping myself that I'm trying to get to is stopping. Me helping myself sounds like I stop letting the judgment of somebody else because they don't know what's important for me in my life.
Right.
They don't know where it is that I'm planning on going unless I sit down and I talk to you about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you, if I talk to you about it, which we have, we that are aligned. Like, and so you will support me in my journey and I know your journey, and so I want to support you in yours, and then that becomes a team and we move forward. And so by helping myself, by knowing what it is that I want to go do, is the jumping off point for me to say, here's how I can also accept help. But I'm starting with me. And I think that that's a core tenet that I've lost. Being the people pleaser that I've been, and all the reasons and all the ways that and where that's come from, that, you know, just really trying to understand. And I see that in you. I know that in my staff. You know, my entire staff, they want to be helpful.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just don't know how. And so that can come across all sorts of weird ways.
Right. And as you are putting that in perspective of, you know, on the plane and you put your own mask on first, but some people just don't know how to, they get frozen. And I've discussed being frozen, and I know anxiety takes over, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people have it. It runs through us. And a lot of the times, again, for me, and I know a lot of people do, they freeze in time, right? So it does take that person sitting next to you to put on their mask first, to say, you know what, I am taking care of myself, but now I have taken care of myself, I'm going to be there for you. And now I'm going to help you take care of yourself, right? Everything's going to be fine. Well, let's breathe through it, right?
Yep.
But sometimes, and like I've discussed, I'm completely transparent with it, anxiety takes over. Even as simple things as cleaning the house, right? A little ADHD or ADD, whatever you want to label it as. You see one thing, you start picking it up, and then you're like, oh, I see something else I need to touch. And same goes for me, especially right now.
Right.
I am in between jobs. I'm trying to find that perfect balance of, I want to be a present mother. I want to be able to go to my kids' functions. I see parents there, and I'm like, what do they do for work that they're able to spend the time or take the time away from work and this, that. So again, it's being frozen in time and learning how to snap myself out of it, because I don't have that person that has the oxygen mask on. It's just me and my kiddos, you know. I'm thankful for everything I have. I'm thankful for them, but I can't afford to be frozen. I can't afford to have that anxiety take over. I got to snap out of it. And I don't know, you know, sometimes it's just a simple, you know, I'm going to walk away from this room or walk away from this project for a minute. I'm going to take a step outside. I'm going to take a breath. Tapping my knees, that's one thing they say in psychology. If you have anxiety and you're frozen in thought, they say tap your knees, alternate your knees, and just sit there and tap your knees. And eventually it does something with your brain. You know, the brain is a wonderful thing. I don't want it to take too much control of everything that's going on.
Yeah, it's trying to figure out how we can correct our soundtracks.
Get outside of our head. Get outside of your head.
And start looking at the facts. And fortunately, through some of my moments in the last couple of years, I've had a lot of great resources around me that have helped guide me through that, and learning those little things to break my own cycle. And you pick up something, and we all can get online. And listening to stuff like this, for me, I've just consumed positive podcasts. To the degree that I think when I start talking about them, people tune me out because whatever. But honestly, that's where I am also. Is like I am seeing, going back to what Grandma says, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am seeing that there are people that are doing amazing things, and while you only get this much of the glimpse,
Correct.
if those people are doing those amazing things and they're kind of authentic and kind of show you the raw and the grit too and the struggles.
Mm-hmm.
We grew up in a marketed society that wanted to give, here's this picture of this thing. And we never got to see that, and of what reality was, because
Right.
this was so curated for this moment,
Oh, yeah.
for the propaganda in which it was, or the marketing, or whatever. We could pick 1,000 things, right? And I think now one of the beautiful things is we're starting, I think, to get sick of that. And
Absolutely.
we just want real to be real, or at least some group of us anyway. And maybe if nothing else, that's all this is, a sounding beacon that just, I'm sending a message out, I'm sending a signal out, anybody receiving, and so that we can find our groups and our communities in just a different way. Because after we all went inside and we stopped being around and bouncing off of each other in the ways that we used to, it gets a little bit more divisive. And I just have to make the note, nowhere in our world did we plan for this. But I mean, even just looking at our clothes,
Yeah.
somebody on this could be watching this video going,
They
"Boy,
really put a lot of thought
this
into
is
this
a
today."
whole lot of political bipolarity." And the reality of it is it is, but it isn't, and it can and it can't be, and it's all of it, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reality for me is I don't have anything that's just crazy here. I've described myself as a purple motherfucker for a long time. I'm a purple person. I have always wanted to look at that perspective, then find my own. And sometimes I would index one way, and sometimes I would index another way based off of whatever, and I generally would just find my own path. Until the world told me that my path wasn't the right path, and that was the signal that I let it give me back. And I know people feel that way, that if I'm not doing this thing that these people say, then I'm wrong, or that I'm bad, or whatever.
Right.
And I have an undying belief that it's somewhere in the middle, man. And going back to all the same stuff, that if you kind of function with the right intent, you know where you're wanting to go, and that place is good for more than just me,
Mm-hmm.
well then go. And listening to you and many others, I'm sure, like you, that I want to go do these things because I know this is my valuable time, and how do I jump from here to there? How do I get there? What are the steps? You've done something that most people wouldn't ever do. You've tried it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And there's some challenges along the way that you're learning every day. And that anxiety bleeds in, but you've taken steps. You've taken steps that many wouldn't have the courage to do.
That's true.
It's very true. And I commend you for that.
Well, thank you. Every day is a new challenge, and I think it just kind of shows the testament of that's life. You got to be ready for anything. We like to have routine in life, right? Routine is good. Means you have something scheduled. It's part of your routine.
That's right.
Why don't you tell the people about your routine the last few years? What have you been doing?
Oh, we'll get to me in a few moments. We'll get there. I do want to take a quick moment to note that I was advised of this at least 5 times before I started doing any of these things. And I'm very grateful that we have the cameras. I hope that they are still on. I'm very grateful that my friend Josh Haddad with Content KC has loaned me this beautiful little recording box. And I remembered about 20 minutes into this conversation, one of the bits of advice that he's given over and over again, which is simply make sure it's turned on before you start talking.
Oh, yeah?
It wasn't turned on before I started talking.
So, but we have hopefully audio
Yeah,
on these because
that's
we've
right.
talked about a lot of great stuff. But hey, now that we got the actual sound guys thing working, yeah,
1, 2, 3.
it tested wonderfully. I could see the meters, and then I just forgot to push the button. So that happens. And also, I'm about 400 degrees now.
Those
so
things put off some.
1995, baby.
Wow.
It will cook our monstrous office here. So I do have a couple things. Yeah, I like this one because this, I think, is really speaks to where we're at. What is a belief that you have held strongly for years that you see differently now?
Well, you know,
There's no wrong
I
answers
think
here.
that, again, just trusting in my own strength, right? I think that younger, it was following, you know, I was a follower, and I still follow the rules, and I do this and do that. But sometimes it does take that step forward in a different direction, like you mentioned earlier, you know, for yourself. And yes, I can trust this system works for these people, but how can I make my system work for me and my future? We're all human, and we all have the future probable goal is we want to have a healthy life. We want to not feel suffrage. We want to live not in a great abundance, but you know what? We want to get by without struggle. And you know, sometimes that cookie cutter mentality, it's been something that a lot of people had desired. You know, the white picket fence, that, whatever, that. Everyone wanted that dream goal, but you know, some people and life has changed, and life has made us think, you know what, let's reevaluate things and let's see, was that right for me? You know, but no matter what, I have to still move forward. It may be in a different direction, but it's still going to be forward.
For sure. So, and even to that, like that white picket fence dream, I mean, it sounds like a really nice dream, and it was our grandparents' dream, right? And then I look at where they were at in their life and what was going on in the U.S. economy and the world, for that matter, coming out after the war, and just the boomer generation in general, which is our parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I'm in my late 40s now. You're not quite there yet.
I'm right there in the middle.
So
Mid-40s.
I would say that you and I would land, if you were to have to put a label on us, I'm tail end of X and first part of whatever that next thing was. If it gets into the millennials or the Y, I don't know. I'm like an X minus or X plus or fuck, I don't know.
We're the blurred line.
It's a weird blurred line, and it
sure.
starts at like 78 and goes to 82 or 83.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't fucking know. But ultimately through that, I know that there's a lot of stuff that I will tend to lean way more X on. And then other stuff that I'm like way more like, what in the hell are you old fuckers thinking? And somewhere in there, though, I think the reality that I'm seeing clearer is that it's not about whether or not you're in this camp or that camp. It's about what you do with the information that is today for where you want to go. Because regardless, I'm just using what they're doing and what they've done, what they're talking about and what they're done, and then I put it into my own sieve, my own mesh, my own mind. And so my thought process with regard to the housing and this being this American dream or whatever, and then you hear it's dead, like it was the dream, it was the asset, it was the thing that was the promotion that people understood very simply. I believe that. Mm-hmm. You go buy a house, $7,500, you're making $200 a week. It's still a stretch. You still got to make these payments every month. Like when you buy it on that leverage, and what with the loans, what that did was it caused inflation, and now that's why houses are crazy in part, and inflation is what it is. But that dream has changed now because we have so much more available access to so many other assets that you can go buy. I can remember growing up and wondering, like, why in the hell did my dad, when I got into college, why did my dad ever tell me about 401ks? Well, dumbass, they became a thing like 2 years before I'd had that thought. Like, they weren't a thing when my dad was, back then. And if they were a thing, well,
only the certain group of people had access to that information. You had to go this route or this path, and you had to be in the right place at the right time or have the right opportunity given to you to open a door. Or you had to go magically fucking think of something that never existed before and go create it. And so I look at it and go generationally, like, man, they were doing the best they could and trying to figure the shit out then too. And I know that I have a bad problem with tripping up like what they should have known that I know now.
Right.
But you can't. You got to go meet them where they are and where they were.
Mm-hmm.
And then that leads us to today, right? And so if I build homes, I want to keep building homes. I want to sell homes. I think that it's a great asset for people to have. But I don't believe that it's an asset for everybody to have.
Right.
And so if your life can get reconfigured to where that's not your asset of choice to maintain, and really the asset it's a hedge against inflation, which is why they want it to be diversified, why people recommend diversify your assets, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yep.
And I think what has happened is we've all suckered ourselves into believing that housing will always and always go up, and whatever dollar we put into that housing, it will always and always go up. Mm-hmm. And we are coming at the tail end of a lot of this inflation and the costs and expenses going up and the repairs and going up. And we're seeing this gap in the new construction builds that stopped after 2008 and 2010. And we never have made back up those 2.1 million units across the country.
Right.
And so you're reset now. We're humming along with this demand that's kind of a demand, but it's not really a demand, but it's definitely it's kind of a need.
Right.
But when you look at the value of it, it's like that may actually cause housing value to go down. If we were to produce 2.1 million homes in the next couple of years,
right,
the value of your house goes down because simple supply and demand curves.
Right.
So it's just another thing, but people latch onto it because it's the only thing that inherently we've known from generations. The people that pioneered the West in the 1800s, they built their house out of whatever they had. There was no debt. There was no leverage. There was no central bank. You either had it or you didn't. You went and chopped it down. You bartered. You worked. You whatever. And when you mention that about the now flow through to the surplus world that we live in, like it was only 100 years ago that we were very much in a scarcity world, right? The Roaring 20s were the Roaring 20s. We're 100 years after that. That was when abundance actually started. And there's people that talk a lot about comparing then till now, and will actually say we're a little cray-crayer in 2020 or in 1920s than we even are now as far as overheated in certain metrics. So everybody's got their perspective on what's going on, and then what's right for you and what's right for me. And then what do you want to go to? Why is it fucking right? What makes it right? What makes it wrong? Mm-hmm. These are all questions that I just wrap my head on all the time.
Well, yeah.
And when I can't come up with a valid answer as to why something is inherently right or wrong, and I just go, it is, almost becomes Zen-like, and then you're like, well, it just is, because it takes the rest of the feels away from it, and it just makes it exist. And the more I look, the more I hear that resonates way farther back than anybody I've really ever read about or listened to. And I don't know, cycles, weird shit that goes on up here.
There's a lot.
It's just.
I know. It's just. I mean,
as I continue to slash down and get comfortable, we'll get this shit all sorted out. I don't know what I'm doing. Talking to my cousin. Oh yeah, we didn't establish that. We are cousins.
Right. That's right.
We're cousins in some way.
That's right. The Stucker side, you know, which you carried on that name and legacy.
Yeah.
Grandparents, brothers.
Yes, my grandfather and your grandfather were brothers.
That's right. Back in the day, they had the Ozark cabins, right? A couple doors down from each other. I was on the paddle boat. You were fishing. You know,
fun
good
story.
Old days.
Fun story. See if this may or may not strike a chord, or you might remember this. Larry's parents had.
They were the party house.
I'm gonna get a lot better at having this shit queued up. Or you know what I need? I need that production person so I can just be like, "Hey Jimmy, you know that thing." We'll get there, I'll bet. But right now, this is me and me. making this shit up as we go. So we actually have feeling like it is
I don't know.
so
Some
far.
people I don't know. People like to watch people struggle, though. I think that's fun.
I think I realized what it was.
In certain ways. The
Hey.
struggle bus. If they were on the struggle bus just for a little bit, it's okay.
I have
So we
to 100% own
Laugh.
what's going on with the struggle bus right now. It was not an email. It's a text.
Yeah.
So
once again, overwhelming with so many different avenues of outreach, right?
so many
You got
things.
social media, you got emails, you got texts, you got phone calls. No more facts.
Thank God.
Maybe just slight facts.
Did you know that I still know that there are places that will only take sensitive information via fax? And it blows my mind.
Well,
But
Morse
whatever.
code, I'm sure. Yeah, still,
Yeah, it's a thing.
You may have to learn Morse code in the future. You never know. Beep, beep, beep.
Sometimes the new becomes the old becomes the new. I
Right.
don't know. So, yeah, so we're related. The funny picture, we'll get to that. It was something from the lake. It just reminded me of it. But yeah, the lake. I believe I would almost go out to say that is my first memory of you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what age I was, but you were a little bit younger, and I would guess that I was somewhere between 5 and 10. And so you were smaller.
Just a little wee tot. Yep.
Yeah.
Just learning about the big world and watching all my bigger cousins and family have their good old time by the fire pit and, going on the paddle boat once in a while and simplicity. We had, if you go back there now, the cabins they're gone. Gone.
They've been torn
Leveled.
out. Leveled.
But that just
Big
kinda
houses
shows
in their place.
the Billionaires Club no longer.
Old Lake Road 529. It was a magical place growing up. And the fact that they had all jumped into those lots back in the 60s, not knowing anything. My grandparents bought their lot out in Colorado in the 60s. Like I think about just how they just moved through their life and then where they ended up and whether it was their careers that took them and then their retirements that took them and then their health that took them and health that I'm like, man, they had to go. They were
sure
just
did.
doing it.
Yeah.
Like the hordes of pictures of my grandparents, like from 1985 until 2005, they were nonstop for 20 years in there. But that was what retirement, the vision of retirement was. And I can remember the arguments between my grandparents and not so much your grandpa, but more Larry's dad and mom over, your grandpa and Larry's parents worked for Ford.
Right.
They retired from Ford.
Yep.
My grandpa did not. He retired from a factory company, a glove company up in Chillicothe, Missouri, with no pension. I think they gave him a little rock that said Lambert's on it or something. It was cute.
Right.
Yeah.
It was cute.
But I remember that. I remember the conversation at the retirement party between my grandparents and Larry's parents, and it was like they were looking down on my grandparents for not having $100,000 in the bank and not having, this or whatever, the retirement or the pensions, and my grandma was a fuck it all lady. She just didn't give a shit. She would give you her opinion, and then she'd go off and do whatever she wanted to do and be damned. And so they went. They went to Colorado. They packed up and moved to Colorado.
Yep.
And 20 years later, we went and got them back because heart problems and all that. But my grandmother never healed from coming back from there. She had found her happy place many years before. And I look at that life and I'm like, go create that life. How do you create that life?
Mm-hmm.
Did they live on the highest hog? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But they lived their best life.
Yep.
And that's what I think that we lose sight of with the materialism and the keeping up with the Joneses and all that stuff. And I get it that people can say, well, you got there. And it's like, yeah, no, I did, because I was curious what it was going to be like. And now I've learned. And I think that that's a whole thing, that we can be told all the shit that we should do. We can be told day in and day out. You can be told that oven's hot or that stove's hot. But until you get burned by it, until you experience it, like those curiosities, if you're a curious person, just never get settled. I don't want to take your word for it. And kudos to the people that can listen to a story and go, no, I'm good. I get the vision. I'm happy here.
Right.
And that's all they desire. More power to them. I'm glad that they exist.
Not for me, in other words.
It's just not for me. Mm-hmm. And so making it right or wrong, making it blue or red, making it good or bad, inherently it's false. To me, it just doesn't compute. And then I too acknowledge that I'll judge shit because I run it through that sieve immediately. And so it's a constant evolution, constant work in process to kind of unravel that.
That's right.
I'm on a multi-year journey to do that, and I still have the rest of my life to go to figure it out.
That's right. I mean,
And
that's
that's
how I
it.
feel too. Is you get to a certain point, you had kiddos, you have a career, and
Check the
sometimes
boxes.
you
You
check
check
the
all the
boxes,
boxes.
you have the house, you have the things, but then you have to figure out, okay, I've checked all those main boxes, but what can I fulfill within my soul and my heart and my desire of wants, right? And if you ask me what do you want to do when you get older, or what career is your perfect career? Gosh, man, do I have to just pick one? Right? I love to write. Do I spend time doing it? No. I have a bunch of ideas in my head. I always joke that if I had the chance, I could write down all my ideas and get on Shark Tank. Like one of those entrepreneurs is what I have in my heart. That's what I like to do, or think that I want to do. But I've just always been that helping person. I like to talk to people. I'm curious. I'm the curious cat.
And hopefully it doesn't kill us.
Exactly right. I definitely look both ways before I cross the road.
That's all that was screaming, like curiosity killed the cat.
Exactly. Yeah, let's not do that. No.
But you know what? It's just part of it. And whether we're using this as selling or therapy or whatever, that's where I'm saying, like, it's also subjective. There's objective things inside of it, but you just rewrite your mindset to not because you're indifferent, but because things just shouldn't affect as much as what they do. And that's I don't think it's a me condition or you condition. I think that everybody struggles with that a little bit. I did have some questions. We have more in common than our bloodlines and our spatial capacity to be in the same place, or I'm 20 miles east of you, so we're not far apart physically. Your past has a little bit of cheerleading in it.
Yes, it does. Yes. A few years ago, another lifetime ago, it seems, right?
Yeah, this is a subject that's of interest for many reasons. One, badass.
No.
Chief's cheerleader.
Yes.
That's saying something.
Yeah.
That's saying something. And we share that. I too was a cheerleader. Many people don't know that.
I did not know that. I don't think you've
was.
ever exploited that information
Yeah.
to me.
So the world's going to get to know things about me if they tune in to my
That's
podcast.
right, that's right.
Otherwise, they would have had to have known me or been in a certain place at a certain time.
Yeah.
But yeah, college cheerleader right here
That's awesome.
for 3 years.
How did I not know this? But
Yeah.
whenever you're younger, you go to school, you go to college, and life just continues on its own journey. And so
You meet your boy,
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
your families, and you get your job. And I
Yeah.
meet a girl, and we go do the things, and I go to
Yeah.
work, and then we bounce against each other. But years of that, you just jump over, and until you sit down and visit about it, you just don't know. So
well, that's why
yeah.
I can see we have lots in common. We're each other's yell leaders. We're there cheering people on to keep going, keep pushing, push back. There's no
against all odds.
against all odds.
You're down 65-3.
Oh my
Don't
God,
care.
Don't care. Watch this. Yeah, I was 19,
Because it's
but
perspective.
it was like I said, it was a lifetime ago. I auditioned when I was 18 and made it to finals, and they had kind of a little interview process to see and to question all the girls at the end of the finals, right? And I think and it makes sense. They wanted girls that had that idea of what they wanted to pursue. They wanted girls to be in college to fulfill that step of their next adulthood stage, right? So I made it to the finals, and unfortunately they said, you know what, we're looking for girls that are ready, they're in college, and you're just coming out of high school, try again next year. So I'm trying to remember if I auditioned for, I think the Comets was an indoor soccer team, and it's still, but I said, fine, well, I'm gonna still do the dance thing, because that's what I was, I enjoyed, I was tap, I was acrobats, and this, that, whatever, and that was my outlet of my energy. And so I auditioned for the Comets. I made the indoor cheerleading squad for them. And then auditions came back the following year for Chiefs, and I made it, and I was the youngest on the squad. I had a lot to learn, 19 years old, and still a whole future that I had to figure out. And what I really loved about, of course, that whole organization, number one, is it's a family. They have faith first, and as far as we have each other's back, they always had, of course, many different community outreach, charity events and things. And they taught us how to recognize every single person out there. And I commend Elaine Hart, was the director at the time. And she definitely put that into everyone's, future and an idea of knowing that even if it's the person just taking the trash out, you need to at least just say hi. You don't know what's going on in other people's lives, in other words, and you might learn something. That's the biggest thing for me. What I came out of all that is it made me more social. I was maybe a little of an introvert in high school, and the dancing was my kind of personality outlet. But to this day, I can find just any topic of conversation to bring up with somebody. And you know what? We may have a common background of, hey, Kevin, I had no idea. And I've known you all these years that you used to be a cheerleader or yell leader, or, I might learn.
I'm secure enough. You can call me a cheerleader.
Thank you,
It's all
okay.
right.
I know. I always had a problem with being declared a cheerleader when I came from dance. It's a thing, ladies. Drill team versus cheerleader squad. Okay.
And most guy cheerleaders, they get very fragile if you call them a cheerleader.
But,
at least in from my era.
Right, because
anyway.
you look like you could be a football player. Let's face it. I mean, you could probably throw the quarterbacks up in the air too, if But it to this day though, it is funny to meet people. Even fast forward, I become in the jewelry world, and I meet doctors and all walks of life, athletes for sure. Athletes are coming in all the time, and it's just fun to talk to them about just the real part of life, or how we have similarities, or we know the other people. That's what life's about.
Reduce it down to they're humans also.
Wow, I know. It is interesting that
they put their shoes on and their pants on, their underwear. They have to
Exactly.
eat. They have to sleep. They're not superhuman people. Even the athlete, even these superhuman athletes, they're still people.
That's
and
right.
And you got to experience that.
Mm-hmm. But when people bring up the cheerleading thing, it's funny because I was always embarrassed to bring it up or to say to anyone, and even to this day, because I don't want to be known as like, oh, that, the stereotypical dunce, blonde cheerleader. But I have breadth of information too, not just the past of my cheerleading days, and it was certainly cool. I mean, we got to travel my third year in 2004. Yes, we got to go to Italy, and we got to do a USO tour.
Oh, wow.
And that was ultimately the biggest part of my young adulthood. We got to do a choreography for the troops, and it was a long production. I want to say 2.5, 3 hours. And ladies that are familiar with that, the same year that I was in it, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but to see the world in another angle at that age. And back in the day, I just had a digital camera or a disposable camera, so I don't have much.
24 clicks, you're done.
Facebook wasn't a thing. I don't really have much proof of that, but other than just in my heart and my memory, Taormina was a beautiful place to see offside Sicily. So that's one of my greatest memories. In addition to seeing the troops, of course, that was the main thing. They're human too. We got to go on a naval ship, the USS LaSalle, which is now decommissioned, and I had no idea that. Fast forward, that they do sink them after they use them as a target for a while. That they take off all the important parts, then they sink it to the bottom of the ocean. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Now knowing that my foot traffic and my people that I was with that year, it's just now at the bottom of the seafloor.
It's a
memory.
It's a new coral reef.
It is a coral reef.
It's a new home for a lot of aquatic life. It is amazing. You have done a lot of other things other than that, and certainly there are probably people in your world that I could imagine kind of define. For years, you were just defined as,
right.
This is Mandy, she's a Chiefs cheerleader, right?
Mm-hmm.
This Amanda, she's a Chiefs cheerleader. What?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, yeah, I did that for 3. I did that, yes, and now I am a mother, and now I am a this, and I'm also a writer, and I'm also, and so kind of even just retuning and the power of and, as opposed to like, this is what defined you.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of strength in that. I think that there's a lot of value gain for other people to hear you say that in exactly those words. Of just like, yeah, that was a thing I did, and right. And you're grateful for it.
I am.
And you got to see things that other people didn't get to see and experience, and you can take all of those things and then you add that to this thing. Because you did something that stepped out of your comfort zone in the moment. You went and you tried out, you put yourself out there, then every single week and every event and all these things, you continue to allow yourself to be put out there, win, lose, draw, all of it, because you were living your life the way that you saw how you wanted to go.
Yeah.
And then we get old, and then the responsibilities seem to bake in, and life happens the way it does, and we find ourselves scrambling for how do we get that choice and that optionality back. And I'm excited to see where this goes for you.
Exactly.
And
I know.
hell, where this goes for all of us, right?
That's
Because
exactly
tomorrow is the greatest unknown.
That's right.
And I think that yesterday we just need to look at as the lessons that we learned.
And be appreciative of everything. You know, I'm appreciative that we connected. And I don't know, I do know. I was working at my fine jewelry
At the fine jewelry
store.
I made some money.
Kansas City's
and
best.
I needed to go spend it.
He wanted to show that of course, you want to showcase, like, I did this, and I get this reward back for myself. We all do. We all get those fancy cars when we feel like we've accomplished something. A fancy watch, or a nice steak dinner. You know what I mean? We do that, and as we should. Because what is life worth living if we just say, okay, cool, pat on my back, let's go. That's great, but let's enjoy and categorize those moments as we did it, you know. And I remember seeing you walk in. I said, is that Kevin Stucker walking through right here? I haven't seen that trucker since his wedding.
Exactly.
I don't think I saw you since you got married.
The first time. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
No,
it was years ago.
That would have been 2008 was the wedding.
Sheesh.
And I would bet that you and I didn't really see maybe once. Your dad's funeral was after we had started getting back together, and I was buying stuff. So yeah, it was like 2017, 18.
Yep.
So it would have been almost a solid decade that we were just not in each other's purview. And so a whole lot of life had lived, and we were doing some pretty cool stuff for some developers, and we're having some great financial success. And I wanted to go reward myself and part of my team at one point.
That's right. That's awesome.
It's no, I'm not going to do that. That's all being all joking. And we've both talked about how we go buy those things, and we have the things, and then we find ourselves in a moment of life where it's like, what's that really mean for me? What's that do? Because I know at one point I fell into the trap that, all right, you win, you go buy this a Rolex. We went and bought a Rolex, right? And I'm like, right. And then I took the Rolex home because it was so shiny and so expensive and so bright. And then I feared wearing it. It's like, why am I fearing? It's a watch. And it's like, well, but you don't want to hurt your watch. You don't want to hurt. Oh, okay. So now I need to put this thing on a pedestal. Well, every time I put something on a pedestal, now I don't get to really enjoy it. All I can do is look at it. And what's that pedestal doing for me for it to sit there? And so I would start feeling almost guilty, right? Almost guilty for squandering the money, for wasting the money, for whatever. And it wasn't until somebody that I actually had gifted a Rolex to, he doesn't wear his very often. It's a very special thing, but he's a much more grounded individual mentally than I am. He's very strong. I love him so much. Anyway, he's like, yeah, no, but I mean, it's just the widget of that moment of success. It's just a reminder. And I'm like, it's an awful fucking expensive reminder. I could take a picture, you know,
Like, let me show you the paper.
The little flip into the back of that drawer being like, oh yeah, I remember. You remember that year? It was so good, you know, but instead this thing exists that everybody else holds in such a high esteem.
That's right. Yeah.
And while I can appreciate, I know and understand why I bought and when. Now I use it as a different thought subject for me of the better understanding what this makes me feel like, and that's helped guide the next purchases and what else I do or don't spend on. And so again, I've stopped kicking myself for spending the money. I've stopped threatening myself to go sell it because I just don't need it. I should, maybe,
Certainly
maybe
could,
not.
but
I could take a
you
picture
do
of it and know, hey, I did that.
Right.
And if I can still live life, and I can still do good, and I can still generate and create, and still have that there, well, why not, right? And so again, this or that, or like, but or is just so reducing and so limiting. You had sent me a text yesterday. We were having a nice little chat, and in that text, you said something about something appearing gray. And while texts don't get near what a conversation does, because you see this face, right? So I made a comment to you that I also believe that we get to view life in full color, not just black and white. How did that make? What did that mean to you?
I mean, sure, we can follow through with whatever everything else, no matter what, the black and white, you're going to see that's apparent to everyone, but you need to find the depths of the things. And when you find the color, you find joy, you find opportunity, you find things that are easily overlooked. But, at night when you only really do see black and white, that's when the darkness creeps in your mind, the what ifs, the this and that. But when that morning sun comes up and you do see color again, there's more opportunity, and color brings opportunity, right? That's why they say to paint your home pretty color. Nobody wants to just live that black and white. There is no black and white in the real world, and we're seeing that, obviously, but we'll make that another time of conversation.
Yeah, it goes back to the binary conversation. It goes back to this or that, one or two. Red or blue,
right?
It's all of it. Whenever things, and then we can literally probably have somebody that might troll us and be like, well, I mean, at the end of the day, everything synthesizes down to bits and true binary, and in code, it's 0 or 1.
Thank you,
it's
Rain
on
Man.
or off. It's yes or no. It exists
Right.
or it doesn't.
There is
I'm
an
like,
answer.
all right, I got you, brother. But the reality is like our brains can do more than just A and B, and our eyes generally see more than just A or B and all the shades thereof. And so even if it's gray, it's just a mixture of on or off, and how much on or off. And when you start getting colors now, to me, that's 360 degrees. It becomes a whole different visualization for me as to how to see life. So
That's
I was just
true.
curious,
Yeah.
because again, when you're receiving big long-winded tests,
We're really
my
good at long
talk to
texts.
text, oh my God,
That's
best and
always
worst
fun,
thing.
isn't it?
Well, I never did understand how to answer somebody in 3 words or less. I never got on Twitter, never, ever, ever, because I'm like, I don't even know how to reduce everything that you just spun up something. And how did 110 fucking what? No, thank you. Because to me, it was like, how in the world? And maybe it wasn't Twitter. I don't know. But it seemed like every one of those little things is like, you're limited by the thing. I'm like,
You're like, I could spend a lot longer.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm going to need to
How
post
can
73
I-
times to get this thought out.
Exactly.
There's a real appreciation for the people that just bleh. And then every time, this is a story that I tell myself. Every time that I want to go into storytelling mode and be reductionist and take something that's highly complex and turn it into, it's just like this thing, then it's like, now because this guy over here is saying, there's so much more to that, and don't be and I'm like, but how the fuck did you live on Twitter for the last 6 years? How do you text? So anyway, talk to text, the dictate function, all this, it's magical for me because
Exactly. I know, and I understand like the fact of getting the information out quickly. Yeah, I was taught when I was in the restaurant biz. I'll just throw it out there. It was 801 Chop House, and the chef, he said, And it wasn't to me directly, but he said, I don't need a long-winded explanation of X, Y, Z, why they didn't have this or why this wasn't ordered properly, this, that. He said, tell me what you need. You need a ribeye steak, rare, side of, whatever the hell, tell me that's what you need now. Don't say table number 404.
404 thought that the outside was a little bit too dark and the inside was a little too pink and there's too much salt in this corner and his gravy sauce got on it and you said that you were going to separate. Don't give a shit. Just tell me you want another ribeye medium rare. Get it going, right?
Let's go. Fire it up. That person's hungry and we all need to eat, babe. Right?
That's beautiful. Cut to it.
But kind of going in the, like building a house. Like we don't need to know like, oh, this didn't show up. So we like a full explanation, right? It's like, we need this. If this isn't, or we're going to have to put it off. We're going to have to do it tomorrow or whatever the case may be. That's a whole nother conversation. But, pointing out the details when it's necessary. But otherwise, we can get long-winded on any topic. That's what humanity does. Yeah. That's what social media, we're drawn to it, man, right? It's like I'm guilty of this, especially in the last few years. And I'm like, I'm going to have to start deleting some shit. Whoa. Instagram, I get on there and unfortunately it can go further, but sure, politics and this and that, or the celebrity crap. Do I care? Is it affecting my life? No, it's not affecting my life. It's affecting me getting things done though. Mm-hmm. And I want to be able to accomplish things. I know that probably all that information is written by a third narrative there. So, and they're doing it for likes and clickbait, but I need to have my own clickbait. I need to have my own steps moving forward and letting myself just drown in this multimedia crap it's not good for anybody, right?
So I went off of social media. We've talked a little bit about this, right?
Yes.
What you're saying resonates so hard with me because I've watched many, many people just get lost in it. And I have also seen the light of how to really use it to promote yourself, but not from a seeking validation through others' likes, but to promote yourself in a way that gets you where you want to go. And that's the people that I'm looking at in social media right now. Those are the people that I'm following, the people that are doers.
Yeah.
Because we can all, and I've talked about it for months, but anyway, a really long story shortened, right? Got off of social media as I was going through a divorce. It's just part of life. Mm-hmm. And I decided, no, I'm going to focus on me and my mind and my headspace. I don't need all the chatter. I don't need to see what everybody's doing. And so I just went dark. And then as we come out of the COVID and as my world here is just different than what it was before and I'm struggling with things, I feared the judgment of what people would say or think. And, without not dropping a bunch of names, like there are people that you watch, you kind of epitomize or you're around in your life. We all do it. We keep close tabs on those folks in our peripheral, and sometimes we'll let whatever their success or failures are affect what direction. And I was there, but I was there in the point that I wasn't going to move forward because I was letting that guide my worries.
Right.
I was afraid of, if I post this and somebody's going to say something, now I got to answer them.
Right.
I don't want to answer another question to anybody. And we've talked, and there will be more conversations over the kind of what spun me around a little bit. But once you get kind of that I don't want to call it rock bottom, because at the end of the day, I am so far from a real rock bottom, and I know that. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, like I couldn't unwrap that wrapper. I couldn't get that layer shoved off until the day that I did. And the day that I did, I had really, really great people around me that were giving me direct advice in the, are you really sure that's what you want to do? Like, what? You're doing what? They weren't telling me what I should or shouldn't do. They were just questioning. They were just questioning, but questioning pretty fucking hard, right? Yeah. Like, to the point that I'm like, I I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And I happily asked one question into chat for an understanding, because I've realized that using AI is like crack for a person like me.
Right.
It's crack for a person like Aaron Rodgers. Like, watch Enigma with Aaron Rodgers in it. There's a scene in there where like he just loving that any question he can come up with and letting his brain spool in all these places.
Yeah.
Like, it's food for your head.
Yeah.
And so I'm using it to direct what it is that I'm looking for and the answers that I am seeking. And I could go back almost a year when I started using this stuff. And boy, some of those conversations with chat are a little bit on the weird side. Like, because I'm searching. I mean, we're contemplating some stuff, you
Right,
know,
right.
like the cosmos and the religion and money and finance and life in general, right? Like, I was lost. I did not have my tram line set. I did not have my point of where we wanted to go. I knew what resources I had, kind of, and I knew kind of what we were doing, but there wasn't like a real focus. And so the day that we were going to go out and get focus, and I said, fine, I'm just going to do this social media thing. I happened to get an answer out of chat that kind of changed all the directions. And that turned me on to Gary Vee. I gotta give him the props. And I couldn't tell you to date how many episodes in the last 5 months of Gary Vee I've listened to, but I think it's pretty much all of them. Gary Vaynerchuk is not going to come over here and going to do shit for me. He's not. He's not going to sit in here, and he's not going to host my podcast. And he's not going to talk into a microphone for me. He's going to talk into his microphone. He's going to yell at me every day if that's the voice that I want to listen to of his, or he's going to talk lovingly to me if that's the voice that I want to listen to. And through it all, it just gave me like this other vision. That light started to creep through, just like, oh wait, so if I go hell gangbusters and I try this thing, and I give myself some patience and some fucking grace, we'll see where it goes. And while I still have not a lot more dollars than I had then, this is just a few months ago, the noodle's feeling a lot better. You know, and the things that we've been doing and testing, it feels good. And so these little changes, just because of one action that turns into another action, and that's really what kind of reset a direction for me was, nope, it's one foot instead of in front of the other, because I was in a mode where everything that I wanted to get my hands on was going to be the next home run. It was going to relive that moment of that project or this situation or that circumstance. I was putting yesterday into what I needed for tomorrow, instead of looking at where I wanted to actually go tomorrow and then charting my course and then letting myself get blown off and then listening to somebody else and this like wiggle waggle to a direction that's still in the future. I still don't know exactly how we're going to get there, but I have some thoughts.
That's right. You have that direction to keep going. That's right.
And that's it. And that's, I just am on this, I want to talk to other people about their directions. I want to see how as we veer and course correct and we learn this thing and we do this over here and we over index and we realize, oh shit, shouldn't have done. And then we peg the other side and then we figure out like, oh, okay, no, let's just settle here. Like really getting into this infinite mindset, this long game mindset of just like, chill the fuck out. What are you in such a hurry for? But that's what your 20s and 30s just do. That's what the media does. And so where I am today with social media and this is we're trying shit. I didn't do a podcast last year. I've listened to some. The year before that, I hated all podcasts. Why did I hate all podcasts? Because I was a fucking idiot. And I was closed-minded to them. I didn't want anybody. I knew what I needed to know. What was that person going to chatter about? And the strength and the healing and just the perspective changes when I'm listening to other people who are in challenging situations, the relationships and how relative that is to my life. I'm like, okay. And it gave me some solace. It gave me a little bit of peace and calm. And I'm like, all right, I'll listen to more. And then you find a Gary Vee and he's like, yeah, you keep listening and then go do something.
That's right. you found your person, you know.
Yeah,
that,
you
that,
got.
that mentor.
Yeah.
You know, we all need those, and we're different chapters in our lives, you know, that we need that different voice, right?
And if it's a Brene Brown, if it's a Jocko Willink, if it's there's so many different people that we can all listen to, and I think somewhere along the way maybe that's it. This is still an encouragement for anybody to just find somebody to listen to that's where they think they might want to go. People have bad shit in their heart and their mind, and there's people out there that talk about bad shit. Cool, I guess if that's for you. But if you want to not feel that way, go listen to people that'll help you not feel that way. Go be around those people. I'm latching onto that. And so even then with the social media, I was off of it, scared of the judgment, of the ridicule, of the whatever. And so for me, getting a taste of a guy like Gary Vaynerchuk he's a go big or go the fuck home guy. Mm-hmm. And I too was trying to get my head into this, like, what is the perfect thing that I need to put out? What is the thing that's going to get me past a hump? What is the post? And so for a week, I produced everything. I took the video, I made the pictures, I put it into Canva, I fucked around with it and CapCut. I tried to learn because I'm like, I don't want to just turn this over to you and walk away and go feel like I'm not involved in it. I wanted to have a basic understanding of the difficulty level. I'm weird. I just realized, like, why would I want to do that? But no, that's like I want to understand what it is that I'm asking you to go do. I don't have to understand it to the depth that you do, but I want a general sense. Right. If I'm going to tell you that, hey, here, and this is the direction. I interviewed 4 different companies, and every one of them, I said, have you listened to anything about Gary Vee? And I waited for their response, and I'd see people writing shit down. And other people were like, oh, yeah, I know of him. Okay, cool. Okay, that's what I want to do. And then I gauged their response to see how much they knew about Gary Vee. Mm-hmm. I'm like, here's what we're going to do. So I don't know if you've been paying attention. I don't know what actually gets fed because I know what I know about what little I know about this whole thing, the algorithms. He said post across 3 platforms 3 times a day, mm-hmm. every day. And when you get 500 posts in, call me, come talk to me, and tell me where you're at. Because what he faces time after time after time after time after time is sitting in TED Talks or in interviews or whatever is, what should I do? And he's like, do this. And they're like, yeah, but I tried this. And he's literally on their accounts. And he's like, yeah, I see the last post that you had was last Thursday. Well, yeah, we're working on it. Well, before that, it was on Tuesday. That's 2 on 1 platform in 1 week. Mm-hmm. I said 3 times a day on 3 platforms. Call me after 500. I'm like, gauntlet thrown down, motherfucker. All right. And so that's what we have done. We finally found a company, Content KC, the people that loan me all this stuff. Mm-hmm. They're doing all my videography, all the drone shots. They said, we've never done that before. And I said, me either. What's it going to cost? Mm-hmm. They're like, and we're like, how about this? Let's set up this arrangement, and then in 30 days, let's check in. Mm-hmm. And then in 30 days, and let's beta this for 90 days. Mm-hmm. And here's my investment that I'm willing to give. And whether it's a flat or it's a reel or it's something and they're out on site or whatever. And at 30 days, we had our follow-up. It took us about 30 days to create enough content to produce a 3 post a day on 3 platforms. So that is 9 posts a day over 30 days. That's 270 posts.
Yep.
We did it.
Good work.
And we have a plan for month number 2. It took us 30 days to roll out and plan for the first month. We've watched the data and how that's rolling in. Now we're on to the second month, and we're going to be on the third month. And at the end of this year, we'll have 10,000 posts, and it'll be something. I don't know what it's going to be.
Right. Day by day.
Day by day.
Like you said, you were out of technology and the social media as far as that's concerned for a while. And
if I'm going to get in, why am I going to just dibble dabble? And so I keep my notifications off. Mm-hmm. Sorry, everybody. I keep my notifications off. But no, I keep my notifications off because my life is very valuable to me. And when I'm in those headspaces, whether it's 7 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, I then go in and I interact the way that I want to. And so that's control your life and do the thing. And if you are the only person, you don't have the ability to go in and hire somebody to do 3 posts a day across 3 platforms, whatever. Totally understand that. Try one a day, just yourself on whatever platform, and then give yourself a month of grace, not paying attention to the fucking metrics, or not living and dying by what somebody's comments are. And that was something that I was going to struggle with, and I just said, no, the only way that I do this is this crazy ass big audacious goal, and just do it and ignore it. And I just glanced at the numbers, and it's like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's intriguing. And I look at it as a curiosity, not as what I'm doing right or wrong.
Exactly.
Because the numbers, directionally, it doesn't matter what anybody else sees or what I posted about. Is it doing what I'm looking for? And what I'm looking for is just engagement. I just want to participate with people. I want to start a conversation. I want to do this, but I want to do it en masse.
Right.
And if that means that I have to do some fun stuff to get people's attention so we can have a dialogue and discussion to figure out exactly what you started this with, is how can we help you? Which makes me just feed that I need more of the positivity all the time around me, which is the circles that I'm finding and the people that I'm finding to go play with. Because, man, when you got a bunch of positive around you, it's really hard to let that darkness in. And when it starts to creep in, you can rest pretty easy that you have a lot of people that are in your corner that will help you see the light. And I think that's my next evolution. Just knowing that I've got a lot of great people in my corner, and I have for a long time. And how do I absolutely.
That's right.
And how can I go serve and be in their corner for them in the moments of need? So let's see what we can do together to figure that out.
Love it.
Boom.